In a recent op-ed, an opinion piece published by the San Francisco Chronicle, professor of ethnic studies Sebastian Ferrada, Seb, states if you reject the use of the term Latinx, you are in fact transphobic. Oh boy, oh boy. Okay, okay. Here's what we're gonna do, and here's what we're not gonna do. We are going to do a play by play. I'll read along most of this article. I'm going to have the link for you guys. I want your comments. What's the next thing we're going to do? And then also, what we're going to do is I want to invite this gentleman, this professor, Sebastian Ferrada, Seb, as I've heard some of your podcasts, uh, to come onto the slant and let's have a civil, healthy discussion and debate. I have so many questions for you. And finally, what I don't want to do, I'm not interested in a in a personal teardown of this gentleman or anyone of his cloth from the trans community, the LGBT community, because that is not where I come from, right? You guys know me. Now, what I will say is, I disagree, my brother, as I sip on this coffee. Mm, Cafe, right? Because he's got a podcast also called Café con Chisme. Chisme is gossip. And I get where this gentleman's coming from as far as his anti-colonial, anti-white, white supremacist stance, pretty much on on American lifestyle. I know his purview. I see his perspective, and he's also a non-gender person. Okay, so let's bring this up, guys. This is the source, actually. This was published. He published this on the Zocalo a few days before the San Francisco Chronicle grabbed it. And, the clickbait with Chronicle, I also don't appreciate that because if you read this whole article, there are some valid points. Now, there's points that I have major problems with, but also too with the San Francisco Chronicle, where's the counter opinion? Back in the day, they used to have those. You had the pro, you had the con over this issue. I would love those. I miss those days. Where's the counter opinion piece? That's just me. What do I know? I'm an old guy, right? According to Sebastian, the future of Latinos is that eventually there'll be less heterosexual people. Uh, Seb, you need us. I hate to blow it. Hate to tell you. Here we go. In 2018, I was interviewed for Univision's morning talk show. Okay, Despierta America, huge, huge, huge show. To discuss the meaning of the identity label Latinx, and he goes on to talk about this. And he had some. It was his first time publicly declaring who he was. Following months after that, he would have several discussions with family and friends about what it meant. This meant for me, what pronouns I would use, how he would have how we would have patience with each other in learning and moving forward. Was necessary given that the debate over the use of Latinx and more recently Latine to refer to people with origins in Latin America has gone in dizzying circles. Since the term Latinx gained popularity in 2016 and its variations, for me, Latine offers more phonetic fluidity, have become a source of fierce disagreements among Latinx people of all races, ages, genders, and sexual identities. My big push there is that there really is on the majority, not a debate. The majority have categorically just they don't identify. And in the world that this is coming from, you guys are big on identification, right? People are not identifying with it. So the debates within circles, your circles, like family and friends, you might have fierce debates. But when we're talking about a community, the U.S. Latinos, they've spoken time and time again, and so I I'm wondering, Mr. Estrada, I keep saying that, Ferrada, if this is a Hail Mary, that you maybe see this as your you, I don't want to say losing the battle. Maybe I never saw this as a contest. I just see it as that majority of people have spoken, Latino, Hispanic, and when do we ever rarely agree on anything, which is a whole nother thing. So I don't deny your personal experience, but already here you're saying that we need patience and we need to talk. Well, that's got to go both ways. It always has. So if in personal circles there's I wouldn't say an agreement, but maybe there's an understanding and a compassion and finally tolerance of everyone's sensibilities, and then I see where you're coming from. But the larger majority of people, senor, have already spoken. Now he's saying here the debates largely missed the point. So all those the patience and the debates and the talks, they missed the point. Are you saying that they're wrong and you're right? Whether one prefers to use Latine or Latinx, both terms recognize and honor the presence of global gender fluid identities. Um, Whether one prefers to use Latinx or Latine, both terms recognize and honor the presence of gender fluid identities. But the debates largely miss the point. So you're saying that in those debates that you've had, these people are so ignorant that they don't get where you're coming from, or where people who embrace that term. And I've always said from the beginning that Latinx is a wonderful term for people from the LGBT community. It makes sense. If you're non-binary, it makes perfect sense. It falls in line with that whole purview, that whole world. Who am I, right? Who am I to say that that's wrong and no, all that's a more power to you. But to say that we missed the point because we're ignorant, that no, man, no way, no way. I don't miss the point, brother. I do not miss the point. Um, what's most striking about these debates, quote unquote, is that they rarely, if ever, center the voices and experience of those who do identify with the term, namely transgender, non-binary, gender fluid, Latine. Where are these debates? Where are these debates? You've got you right now. You set up your debates as family and friends, and in the months, family and friends. So in your experience here, guy, right? In your experience with these debates, family and friends, they've largely missed the point that we're this is who we are. Um, but then you're jumping already to making a generalization that these debates rarely center the voice and experience of those who do identify with the term. What are you talking about? The debate totally centers around it. It's you versus that other person, that other family member, friend, and you guys are debating. That's what this whole thing is about. You're saying Latine because of a part of the community that is transgender, non-binary, etc., etc. We get it. We don't agree. We just don't agree that term that's come out of wherever it's come out of, whether you want to say it's white gringos, progressive gringos, or I believe it's actually Latino progressives from academia that have created the term. This should be the all-encompassing because it's inclusive, as if we're exclusive. Because you make the next point is that it's a linguistic debate of Spanish, right? We can go back and forth. It's a linguistic debate. Let's bring it up. Serves as a useful example to understand the transphobia prevalent in our community and the importance of adopting language that better reflects our communities writ large. It serves as a useful linguistic debate. So you're saying that the O, when they do say this, is by nature transphobic. Critics of the term Latinx often cite linguistic purity and Spanish language for their critiques. Some claim that Latinx is an abomination to the Spanish language because it does not follow proper grammar or phonology, nothing that the O in Latino or any other identity label, such as Dominicano, Chileno, Mexicano, for example, is already inclusive of the collective. While this argument might be grammatically correct, yes, that's what we're talking about. It's a grammatic correct, right? Us straight people, us, heterosexual Latinos are saying it's not just not a correct term because it's not Spanish. It's not, but we're wrong and we're transphobic. Gotcha. Latinx provides a linguistic vehicle to represent gender fluid experiences to organize these communities under an inclusive umbrella. Farada, you know that while the community you're talking about is gender fluid, most of us aren't. And this is another debate that I would love to talk to you about, but most of us are, we are who we are. Boom. However, but then to connect that as to being transphobic, however, some of these people use Latinx as a catch-all term since the X can be stand-in for. And you know what? Here's where I actually do agree. Ever since the 90s, where Latino was kind of debated, even then I remember hanging out with a lot of Chicano activists that they wanted to change the term Chicano or Latino to be A and O, to include both sexes at the time, right? So they were like, would say really strange things like Chicanoa, Latinoa, and I was like, what? I I get I get the sentiment behind it, but it just sounds silly, like Latinx for everyone. But I get the sentiment. So the sentiment I totally respect, but you can't impose it on other people that just don't want it. And so because you can't impose it, now we're here. Now we're here, which I think is a Hail Mary, where you're just going to call everyone transphobic that doesn't use it, and they're white supremacists, and they have an anti-colonial mind. Get on here, Ferrada. Come. Let's chat. Okay, let's bring this back up. Let's and like I said, I want to jump down because this is let me just tell you guys right now. Let me just tell you guys right now, and we're gonna wrap it up. Mr. Ferrada is a very, very intelligent man. And actually in listening to his podcast, he's kind of funny. Like me. So I think it's a detriment just to label him or call him names, same as Ferrada with this whole thing. So I really want you homeboy to come on to the slant and let's have a healthy debate. So um I want to finish up because he talks about he gives examples of the conservatives, whether they're Latino or not, and how they've pushed back against this. And he uses he cites the non-Latinos, Sarah Huckabee, then the Latino Democrats, Connecticut, Ruben Gallegos, Arizona. He even talks about LULAC, the oldest civil rights Latino organization, all going against the Latinx. Okay, he brings that up and he connects it to how this could lead to violence against the trans community. I don't agree. I don't agree. I think when we discuss this on a video, I think anything that has to do with banning of titles is ridiculous. So that I'm not down with. That I'm not down with. Okay, let's go back to this, and I promise we're gonna wrap it up right now. There's there's this one. God, there's so many good nuggets here. So he goes in political, and I told you about that. And you give stats, and you can read them all for yourself. Um, Here we go, and then we're gonna end it here like that. The insistence on rejecting the use of Latinx on trans is a transphobic act because it denies trans, Latina, and Latinx people a term that represents them. No one's denying you anything, homeboy. Do you? Be you. I'm not denying you nada. Two negatives in the same sentence. But where do you get where does that come from? How do you connect that dots? And then you back it up with the politicos being politicos, whether they're on the right or the left. But to say what was the wording again? The insistence on rejecting the use of Latinx is a transphobic act because it denies trans, Latina, and Latinx people a term that represents them. Wow. Um, yeah, just vehemently disagree with you. I I would love for you to come on. I can't state this enough. I'm gonna wrap it up, but to throw that argument out there then makes it the headline that Fox News is covered, MSN now they're covering that, and I'm sure you're going to get a lot of spotlight. But if you want to have a long, healthy discussion, come on to the slant. That's all I got. I want to know what you think here at the slant, wherever you're at. Keep that slant fuerte.